For Too Many Angles, Adam Silver's Mean Memo edition.
Ooh, so Adam Silver taking control of this whole NBA stars resting thing.
Angles.
Yeah. Voice? What's first?
Acute.
Do you like Adam Silver's Mean Memo to the owners?
I don't know what your voice is doing, but yes. Took owners to task for not being more involved in an extremely significant issue for our league. This is step one, Marcellus. Do you like it?
You know what? For step one, I do, because he's got the attention of the 30 owners. And obviously, with their attention, they're going to go to their coaches and say, look, we got to work together because this is going to affect my bottom line, which is going to affect your bottom line, and then those players' bottom line. So I get that collective spirit. However, very difficult, if not impossible, to enforce. We'll see how it progresses.
I like it because it at least tells fans right away, listen, we hear you and we're going to address it during the season. Other sports, football, baseball, I'm talking to you, usually wait to the off-season, usually wait till many seasons have passed before you address an issue that's been affecting fans. At least him doing that says, we may not be able to solve it, but we at least hear you.
By the way, you can find, didn't the Spurs get fined like $250,000?
They did.
Yeah,
so I'm saying there are options, and I think the scheduling thing will be... Didn't stop them, but if that's a thing that's just now commonplace, where, all right, you guys... The last minute of it was also, I think, part of the problem. It was the idea that, like, when nobody knew until 20 seconds before the game started that everyone was sitting.
But that's my point. It's lip service to a degree, and if you're a fan, you're sitting there saying, hey, you already fined the Spurs $250,000, and they didn't stop it, so what's going to stop?
All right. Next.
Angle number 2, will Silver's memo change anything?
Well, like I said, it's step one.
You skipped ahead.
Step one, 'cause, you know, you can't just go from 0 to 100. You got to be like, this is what's about to happen. We're going to talk about it in April. Boom. Do you think, realistically, an actual change will come from this?
I do. I think at the very least, teams will be more cautious about when they rest players. We won't see national televised games being played by the NBDL anymore. They're actually going to keep their stars playing for like the national games. I think so. That change we'll see. Whether or not we see a reduction in overall in terms of resting, I'm not sure. It's just the win.
So only the games that are on ABC primetime, the games that are the TNT games. I hear you there, but if that calculation, like what happened with the Warriors, they said we have to rest them against the Spurs because we get 3 days rest and a home game after it. If it just so happens coincidentally to fall on those days, I have to rest my guys even in primetime games. It's about a mathematical science equation.
I think that's where the rules have to start coming into play.
You have to change the schedule. Let's stop dancing around.
Start with the back-to-back stuff, but you also have to prioritize those nationally televised games. They can't just be looked at as, like, no offense to any of the other teams, but just can't be looked at as a home game against, you know, the Pelicans. No offense. I could have picked anyone there.
But you know.
I was like, I don't want to pick on anyone.
You hate New Orleans.
The Suns.
You just left there, and that's how you treat them?
I left my heart there. Next.
What should a penalty be for teams resting stars?
Death.
Stoning.
A public
shame.
Years back. So we mentioned this. This was David Stern. This was on his watch, but he did fine the Spurs $250,000 when they sent Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Danny Green home. They also did that on a Southwest plane, which is kind of the funniest part about that.
Man, seeing that.
But Stern did say that it was a disservice to fans. So that is something that has happened, and obviously this is Silver's league now. He can do whatever he wants. Come up with all kinds of creativity.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have fined him $250,000 if he didn't send them home. That was the middle finger to the league, and the league said, oh, really? And they had to come down that hard. But if he would just set them on the bench, like we saw with the Spurs, what we saw with the Warriors, what we saw with the Cavs, they wouldn't even been fined.
You could make the argument that how much rest are you truly getting? If you're already on the road, you're already not sleeping in your own bed, you're already eating hotel food, but you're just sitting on a bench. Is that even rest?
Hell yeah.
Really?
You know what gets you sore? That game. Not playing that game, you're not getting fatigued. And not only...
I'd rather be home, though. If I'm going to rest, I'd rather be home.
Yeah,
and not have to go into work.
But then that's how you get the fine.
Taking yoga, something relaxing like that. Listen, the thing is that it's very hard to even think about having penalties because how do you know when someone's resting versus actually being injured or having a sore back or general soreness?
Hey, as a woman, we have a once-a-month built-in excuse for why we can't come into work today.
Oh, WNBA.
And nobody gets to question.
Level the playing field. It's our turn.
Donna Taurasi's not playing.
Let us have one thing, okay?
No, equality.
I almost read yours.
Players you pressured to play. Go Beetle.
Well, Chris Bosh is the latest to actually come out against resting. He told the AP, quote, I can see it in some instances, but then at the same time, if you can play, play. When there's so much work to do, it's kind of hard to see why guys would take time off. That's the sentiment.
Says the guy who's resting right now.
Well,
not his fault.
Not his fault.
Wow. He's sensitive, for heaven's sake.
I just keeping it real, man. Just keeping it real. Like,
no, his is like a legit, medical
reason.
Not allowed
Oh,
back
of course.
out there.
I'm not taking a shot at that. But if you see who's talking about this, the other side, let's just really give the names, cast of characters. There's a lot of old school players.
Right.
Hey, we were paid the 82 season. And then there's Popovich and LeBron. I'm going where Popovich and LeBron are going. I'm just keeping it that simple. Steve Kerr, the guys who are progressive in their thinking are saying you need to balance this equation between rehab and prehab. And if we don't respect prehab, we're going to run ourselves into the ground.
Yeah, as long as it's ex-players doing the chatter, I don't think it's really going to be that much of an influence. But I do believe that guys who are actively playing can put pressure on. Just like in the NFL. Remember, there's that culture that even though you're hurt and you may have a concussion, there's this pressure around to say, we need you out there.
So we have the opposite of that happening in the NBA.
Yeah, you do. Because you have the greatest player and the greatest coach saying rest. So there's the pressure's actually to rest.
But if your teammates are pressuring you within the locker room, that's going to put a different sort of impetus in order to be out there versus somebody who's not playing.
LeBron plays the most minutes per game, but not every game.
By all accounts, LeBron is not the guy who's out there saying, I want to rest. This is really a strategy thing on part of his
The issue is that the Sacramento Kings rested players. That's the problem.
You just hate this. Oh, that's who I should have picked.
Oh, so only winners deserve rest?
Next.
Losers can't get rest?
Will the Spurs ever win another title if they can't rest anyone?
Well, I don't even know why this just came up. But Greg Popovich, who has, of course, mastered it, said, we'll all try to figure it out. We want to do the best job we can because it is entertainment. We love basketball, and that's what we do. We're all purists in that sense. I don't know why we're asking the Spurs. I mean, of course they're going to win more championships. Is that a real question?
Like into eternity? Yeah.
First of all, the resting predominantly was for Tim Duncan, who is now retired. I understand you've got a couple other guys aging, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, but for the most part, it's a fairly young team.
Yeah, but you know what?
But he's still resting people.
The people who are arguing against rest are going to be on the wrong side of history. Do you know what you do for a third of your life? You damn rest. You know why? But they're
asking to do it for 2/3 now.
The reason you need rest is because there's natural growth hormones. You get to recover. You get to actually repair your muscles. Like everything good that comes from all that work.
If you're really in that bad of a spot,
it comes from rest. You have to manage it. It's just the rest.
They're acting like they're working 20-hour days.
And there's also like this rewriting of history, right? The rewriting of history in terms of ex-players, because I can vividly remember in the 80s that when teams locked up positions in the playoffs, their stars did not play.
They tapped out.
That's okay. That's a different thing.
They tapped out and they.
But the fans know that.
Beetle, we played in a celebrity game, and for 1 quarter we were dead tired.
But I wanted to go right back.
I didn't see you go back though.
I begged.